Well, hello, Youth Ministry Nation. On today's show, we will talk about hair cutting devices, Amy Winehouse, and how to make the most of the fall. I'm Kurt. This is AC. Let's talk Youth Ministry. What's up, dude?
How are you?
Good. How are you, man?
We
are late on this.
We are.
Because we're supposed to be doing these every other week.
Yeah.
Has it been more than 2 weeks since the last one got posted? No, we're probably about on track.
No, one got posted last week.
Oh,
so
by the time this one goes up, we're right on track.
Yeah, we're right on track. So
I
we're
should
looking
have
good.
never questioned you.
You're looking good. You're looking
Crumby,
good.
the first.
The first.
Aaron Crumby, the first. Okay. Can you take your head off for a second? I was just thinking.
Yes.
Okay. How often do you shave your head?
I'm
I'm asking because I'm having this dilemma right now of
how often should you
yeah,
shave?
because my hair looks so much better super short
Yeah.
than it does once it starts to grow out. Once it starts to grow out, I start to show my extreme stubing,
Mm-hmm.
Captain Stubing, typical male pattern baldness. But I just can't do it every day.
Yeah. Well,
But
once
you must do yours every day.
I do it every 2 days,
With-
sometimes 3 days.
With what?
Clippers. I use clippers. So I don't use a razor. A bit on my. I don't use.
Yeah, but you can't get that close with clippers.
Mm-hmm.
What?
They're called Andy's T-liners,
I'm gonna write
and
that
they're
down.
very close.
Andy,
and you
like
just-
the name Andy, like Andy Stanley.
Andy T-liners.
Andy's
And it takes me
T
T-liners. Yep.
Okay.
Um,
I don't think I want that close, but I want it super close all the time. But you do it every other day.
in a perfect world, I want to do it every other day.
Good night. Okay.
Yeah. The more you do it, the easier it is.
Yeah, I have
It's just like
this nasty mole though. That's the problem. I can't get around the mole, so I always have to have my wife come in and clean up the mole.
honey.
Dip, dip. It's a good reason to get her in the shower. Whoa, no, that's because I shave my hair in the shower. Don't you shave yours in the shower?
I don't shave it in the shower.
Oh,
No.
I do mine in the shower. Before I get wet.
For all
And I
you
scoop-
married youth workers.
Then I scoop up all the hair from the shower. Then I throw it in the trash, sometimes in the toilet, which gets me in a lot of trouble because I guess Rachel says you're not supposed to put hair in the toilet.
No.
And then she comes in and cleans up all the spots I missed, which is typically a lot. of spots.
So you guys spend good time.
Good times,
fellowship.
high quality, high caliber time.
Married youth workers.
Yes.
You have just entered the Kurt zone.
There we go. Okay. We got a lot to talk about today,
Yeah.
based on some emails. But before we do that, any chance, anybody out there, if you haven't, you need to, any chance you've seen, I mean, it just came out a few days ago, the new Amy Winehouse documentary?
I haven't.
Have you heard about it?
No, other than your tweet.
Oh my gosh, dude. Do you know who Amy Winehouse is?
Yes, I do.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah.
So she died 4 years ago or something.
Yeah.
Maybe not even 4, about 4 years ago. So this documentary, I would say, is a must-see for every youth worker.
Wow.
A must-see for every youth worker. There are 10 layers of learnings in this story.
Oh, wow.
The biggest one is who you surround yourself with and the people that you let close. And she had hanger-ons, her entourage.
Yeah.
that-
People she.
oh gosh, that didn't want what was best for her at all.
Yeah.
One of whom who was her dad, which was a crazy sad, that whole story. But it is a horrifically sad, tragic, didn't have to happen. How did she get to that point? How come nobody loved her enough nobody loved her enough.
Yeah.
They loved what they got from her, but they didn't love her enough. It is excellent and really sad.
That's
Youth
okay.
pastors
You just-
need to see it.
You just said something when you said, loved her enough. They didn't love her enough. They just wanted to get what they... And that made... One thought just makes me think about how sometimes we can get so caught up in the seats and students being there and that feeding us versus focusing on,
Right.
what they need. Sometimes we can get in that space.
Or what we
Yeah.
get from the students being there.
Yeah.
Right? We
Yeah.
feel
We get
good
the
about
pat on the back.
ourselves. We get the pat on the back. We
Yeah.
get to turn in the attendance. So we gain a lot from the students
Yeah.
being there. But
Yeah.
what are we doing,
Yeah. How are
really
we loving
doing
them?
for
Yeah.
the students who are there? Yeah, it's good.
Heart check.
Heart
That's
check.
good stuff.
Okay. All right. So today, Why am I running this? You usually run this thing.
Yeah.
How come I'm running it today?
I'll take over.
Okay.
I'll have you talk some more later.
Okay.
But today we're going to talk about the fall. We're in the middle of summer. I'm like shooting this, and I'm also doing a bunch of stuff for summer camp right now.
Right.
So we're in the midst of it. But while we're in the midst of it, we're thinking about fall, because fall is right around the corner. We only have maybe 3.5 more weeks before, kids are thinking about going back to school, and we have fall kickoff and everything that's going to go on. So we thought we'd just share some. We've gotten some emails about the fall and about events. What are some great events to do?
What kind of activities should we do?
What kind of activities should we do in summer? What should we be focused on? And so I wanted you to kind of start us off a little bit on strategy and just thinking through. I think we probably preach that a lot in terms of strategy, because it just makes sense. So I wanted you to share just a little bit on what should the strategy look like going into fall.
Well, I can't say this for everybody. I just get a sense that fall is simultaneously one of the most strategic seasons of youth ministry, and often the least planned out and the least thought about.
Yeah.
I think it falls into one of two camps, or I think that's the result of one or two things. Lots of youth groups slow down during the summer, and those youth groups typically do a pretty good job of gearing up for the fall.
Yeah.
Because they've had the whole summer kind of
to think
quote
about,
unquote off, right?
Yeah.
So they're spending that time getting ready for the fall. Then there's a whole other group of youth groups. Ours would fall into this.
Yeah.
We crank things up big time in the summer. Summer is our busy season. Summer is our, kiss your wife goodbye on Monday, see her on Thursday afternoon for lunch kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, summer is crazy for us. Those types of youth groups typically, not always, but typically struggle in the fall because they just don't have time to plan the fall.
Yeah.
They're too busy planning the summer and doing the summer to even plan ahead for the fall. But I think that's a mistake, because what often happens is, what I would say, you just fall into fall. You just kind of fall into fall, and there you are, and you haven't strategically planned and strategically leveraged what is a great, great time. Our fall attendance every year, if you look at our year attendance, our fall attendance is always the highest of our entire school year.
Yeah.
So it's higher than spring every single year. And so because of that, we try to leverage the fall, even though it's not easy because our summers are so busy. But a couple thoughts. One I think you have to have a activity strategy, right? You can't just do, and I would say this is true for summer or whatever, but you need a year-round strategy for why you do the things you do. Now, I'm not talking only the programs, like why do you do small groups, why do you do Sunday school, why do you do discipleship class, but also why do you do dodgeball? Why do you do a lock-in, right? Just why do you have pizza parties? Because if those things don't fit into some kind of rhythm or some kind of strategy, then you just kind of fall into your activities too. Hey, we haven't done anything in a while, so hey, let's have a pizza party.
And to have a strategy, you are able to actually formulate something that could potentially have a budget that you could actually go to your church and say, okay, hey, I've never done this before, but this fall, this is the strategy.
Right.
We have this many students that are coming back. I would love to beef up, whatever area. Community. I would love to beef up the fact that they can go and reach their people. Right. So let's get some t-shirts, some pins, some stuff they can take back to school that have our logo and stuff that students that can be like discussion starters. Right. A kid see a kid with a pen or a notebook or something with logo or something special. You're just thinking strategically that you can now go, this is what we want to plan, and this is, whether your church allows you to fundraise or whether they're going to throw some budget your way, at least you have something that you can go, okay, this is what we want to do. Especially if you're a small church, don't minimize the size of your, youth group because you're small to think that you can just continue to run on the fly and plan on the fly, even though you do have that luxury.
Right.
But man, it would be awesome for your senior pastor to see you come with a strategic plan for the amount of students you have.
Well, and I mean, there's a few times a year where there's opportunity to do something new. Yeah. The fall, you can do new stuff. January, you can do new stuff, and typically maybe heading into the summer. Like at the end of the year, hey, this year's kind of an end school year. Now we're going to do something new heading into summer. Hey, it's a brand new school year. Here's our new T-shirts. Here's our new strategy. Here's our new weekly program, right? And then January is always a good time too because it's a brand new calendar year. I think that you've got to decide. So if I'm talking about strategy for activities, you have to decide, I think, kind of in between one or two strategies. And one is, hey, we do stuff to build momentum. So we're going to build some momentum. And if your strategy is we do activities and even things like rebranding and new T-shirts and putting bumper stickers in kids' hands, we do those to build momentum. Then you typically do that stuff in down seasons.
Yeah.
Not to build, to create momentum, right? To create momentum. You do that where there is no momentum. You do that in down seasons to sort of maintain
what's going on. Yeah.
The other strategy is, no, we want to capitalize and leverage natural momentum, which is our strategy. We tend to be okay with the down seasons, right? We know, okay, this month is usually a down month. So instead of trying to create and manufacture a bunch of momentum, we'll just let that month kind of be a little bit of a turd.
Yeah.
Because we know that the fall for us, for example, there's already some built-in momentum. Attendance goes up because summer vacations are over. Kids are excited about the new school year. There's already a little bit of a bubble of momentum, a little wave coming. So then we stack on some key strategies, some key activities. That's when we give out the new T-shirts. That's when we introduce this new event every other Saturday night or whatever.
Exactly.
Because it builds on some momentum that's already there.
Yeah, and I think for us, we kind of see it as, and just going into some practical things, we see it as the summer is a low month, is a time of really it's a low for us.
Even though we're super busy.
Even though we're super busy,
right.
We're low, but we're busy because we are busy building relationships. We want to fire up our students that we have for the fall so that they're walking into the fall saying, you know what, I'm going back into this situation, the environment that I was last year. We don't want them to be the same. We also want them to reach out and invite students to church, and we want them to, not just be even an inviter. We want them to be able to share their faith. And so we spend a lot of time in the summer really just garnering those relationships and building those up. And so we become very busy. Then the fall is where we want to really, really go hard in terms of implementing a lot of things that help students go into their schools and reach those friends there for Christ. Maybe do something different in their family or lead in their family in a way that they didn't. Serve in a ministry during the fall that they didn't serve in the previous year. So we're kind of using the summer as a launching pad for the fall. And one of our biggest things, I think you were talking about riding the waves. Well, we know one momentum that we can latch on that we don't really have to do it is back to school. Back to school, and I'm sure a lot of you are trying to in that mode where, okay, back to school. What do we do back to school? Well, that's a great starting point where students are going back to the normal routine of things. They're doing things that that are normal. They have a bedtime curfew, but another normal thing is they go back to church. The family comes to church, and so we want to capitalize on that and really blow that up and make it we call it fall kickoff, but that's where we probably put a lot of our eggs in that basket. So a few times of the that's one. Another one, Halloween is another one.
Which this year's on a weekend.
This year's on a weekend.
For us, it's a big deal because it's a church night.
Yeah, and we do we used to do like a pumpkin fest, but we do something for the Halloween that allows students to be in a safe place, but also invite a friend, as well as they're able to serve because our church does a huge thing. But we just point out some key areas in the fall where we know students. Where we can create those as launching pads for, to be either help students get involved or help students kind of come back to the ministry and be all in and bring in everything that they've learned from the summer.
Well, you want to. What I think you want to do is you want to, at the end of a lazy summer, even though we're super busy, our kids aren't super busy,
Yeah.
right? Most of the students don't come to everything we do this summer.
No.
So we want students who are coming back from kind of a lazy summer or a busy summer of sports and vacations, but church hasn't been a focus. We want to say to them right away, boom, here's the fall.
Yeah.
This weekend is fall kickoff weekend. This weekend is Pumpkin Fest. This weekend is the dodgeball tournament after the 6:30 service.
Yeah.
You know, we want to give them this like jam-packed fall that we can say from the very beginning. And by the way, your promotion, the kids who are promoted, so the 8th graders who moved into 9th grade, a lot of them don't transition well during the summer.
Yeah.
So the fall's your first shot with some of the new 9th graders. The fall is junior high's first shot with some of the new 7th graders, right? So you don't want to miss that.
No.
Just a couple super practical things.
Yes.
Because we're talking a lot of philosophy and all that.
Yeah.
Here would be some practical things when you're thinking about activities and a strategy for activities. One would be every activity, every event has to fit your paradigm.
Yeah.
It has to fit your purpose statement. It has to fit your model of ministry. So even a few minutes ago, as you were listing different things that we do, none of those are just hodgepodge.
Yeah.
They all fit our purpose
reason.
statement. They all fit our paradigm of why we do what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really important because everybody has ideas for activities. Everybody has a different strategy of how many we should do and what type. So it has to fit your paradigm.
Yeah.
Don't just do them for the heck of it. And don't get talked into doing them just because people think you're supposed to keep kids busy.
Yeah.
You
Don't continue to do maybe the same thing you've been doing
that.
for the sake of just doing it. You know, you need to test it and see, hey, is this, you talk about strategy. Once you lay the strategy out, then you put those things that maybe you were doing in the fall and you say, okay, does this fit the strategy for this year?
Yeah.
If your group of students are kind of disjointed, there's no real fellowship, you feel like there's no real community, well, and that's been going on, well, you check what you've been doing.
Right.
And then come back and say, okay, hey, this fall we need to grow fellowship. My students are disjointed, so I need to take time to, since this is a low for them and they're more in a routine, we can do some things. Let's create some events that promotes fellowship.
Right.
And then you take what you've been doing and you're going, okay, how does this promote fellowship? And it's probably a great event. You've never just thought, you've probably never thought of being strategic and making it and saying, oh, this does promote fellowship. We probably need to get rid of that, create space for them to grow. Just from our standpoint, that's a huge, not fellowship, but a place where students feel like they can bring their friends.
Right.
And a place that garners relationships. That's one of the things that we're tackling this fall. And it falls under our fellowship purpose. And our idea is, let's create not just a program, but what if we added the stuff, like normally you go, okay, we're going to have a 90 minutes, not a 90 minute, but we'll have a 60, 70 minute service. And then afterwards we'll have some donuts or whatever. Well, how about you have, a 75-minute service and you're building in that time of donuts as part of the service. So on the inside, in the in-house, everybody knows that this is it's intentional, and we need to be on our A game, and we need to be relational, highly relational, because it's a part of what we're doing. It's not we're just going to have donuts out. Kids can have a donut if they want to.
Right.
It's a part of our 75-minute service, and we're going to be highly intentional. That means whatever we don't clean up until after that.
Mm-hmm.
So we go straight from service, and everybody is out talking, creating relationships, meeting new students, and then after that we go away. So that's been one of our strategies of thinking through the totality and building that into our program versus just, I think you toss it up, then students come take donuts, and I'm sure a lot of you have experienced this. They take donuts and walk off, because we're not being as intentional as we could be. So, yeah.
I'm trying to think what else I want to say. I'm very tired today.
And
I get on the airplane tomorrow morning to go to Hong Kong.
You do go to Hong Kong.
And I'm tired just thinking about it. And for some reason today, I'm thinking, you and me are talking a lot, but I don't know if anything we're saying is helping our good friends out in the Youth Ministry Nation.
You know what? I walk
but
away.
It's been fun for us.
I know.
I like learning from you today.
I've been thinking through a lot of this stuff.
The takeaways are, Give donuts away as part of your service, not just on the table on the way out.
Yes.
Don't just fall into the fall.
Have a strategy.
Have a strategy for the fall.
Be intentional.
Be intentional. Don't just do activities for the sake of doing them.
Yeah.
Make them fit your paradigm. That's the
Yes.
intentionality. And then
That's
the last one.
Yes.
The last one is quit while you're ahead. And what I mean
Yes.
by that is just because an activity is popular once or twice doesn't mean you now have to do it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Leave them wanting more, right?
That's a good one.
Leave them wanting
That's a good
more so that when you bring it back in 6 months, they're dying for it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Sometimes we go, oh man, dodgeball was awesome. Okay, now we got dodgeball every month.
Yeah.
And pretty soon they're sick of dodgeball. They never want to play it again. And you just killed a really cool event.
Yeah.
But if you have just done dodgeball twice a year,
It would have made a whole world of difference.
you could have done it forever, and
Yeah.
every time they would have been dying for
Yep.
more dodgeball, right?
Yeah.
So don't be afraid not to do activities. And don't be afraid to
good word.
reinvent it. Because
Yeah.
everything has a bell curve, right? We all
Yeah.
know the bell curve. And so dodgeball, the dodgeball event, is going to grow, 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 and then over time it starts to drop, but we don't want to get rid of it because kids love it.
Yeah.
And then we got, now it's grown and dropped, and now we got to figure out, the better thing to do is, while it's here, reinvent it.
Yeah.
Or kill it and do something new.
Mm-hmm.
And then kill that. Because you never want to end up down here again
Yeah.
with your momentum. You
And
always want to
come back.
build.
Yeah.
Yeah, you always
No,
want to
that's
grow
a
on
good
it.
word.
So don't be afraid to kill activities that don't need to be killed,
Yeah.
right? Kill a good activity
Yeah.
just to keep it
Fresh.
having
new.
some shelf life for the long term. All right.
Don't fall into the fall. I like that.
Don't fall in the fall. If you want to subscribe to this podcast,
Right.
normally they're a little bit more cohesive than this. Normally, me and AC
It's summer, dude.
have better
It's-
things to say.
Yeah.
But-
Hopefully you dig through this.
Hopefully.
Watch it twice. Maybe something.
There's something. The Holy
something
Spirit.
great.
The Holy Spirit can take our ramblings
Yes.
and speak clarity into your soul.
Yes.
If you want to subscribe, you can push this little button right here.
Yeah.
We have now literally over there. There you go. Hundreds of
doesn't
subscribers. Is that true?
Yeah.
Hundreds and hundreds upon hundreds
Yeah.
of subscribers to this
From all over.
to this podcast from all over the globe. Very fun. If you want to ask us a question, you can email us at
talkyouthministry@gmail.com.
talkyouthministry@gmail.com.
Find us, search us on iTunes for the podcast version where you can listen to it in your car or whatever.
And last but not least, if you have not yet signed up for the Simply One Day Conference,
Yes.
coming very soon to a city near you, go to simplyyouthministry.com, push the events or conference button.
There should be
It'll
a
open
tag
it up.
somewhere.
It's
on
dirt
the page.
cheap. It's 1 day, Rick Lawrence, Jesus Center. It's going to be fantastic.
Let's get back to Jesus. You know,
Have we left him?
let's get Jesus centered. I don't know. We need to check that.
He's never left us.
That is true.
Okay.
I thought you would have a song right there.
I probably do.
Awesome.
See you guys.
See you.